Hey y'all, welcome back to another Women's History Month interview. This is the last one. Y'all have made it to the end. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in every week. It's been my pleasure getting to host these and getting to chat with these amazing women and learn more about their stories and their businesses. And I hope you all have enjoyed as well. So today we are here with Dr. Taineisha Bolden from AccessiBull Healthcare in Durham. Hi, Taineisha. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Samantha. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. So just to start us off, if you want to introduce yourself a little more and give us a quick overview of accessible healthcare.
I am Dr. Taineisha Bolden. As you already said, I went to Duke and then UNC for medical school. And then I did my family medicine training in Moses Cone Hospital in Greensboro. And then I went straight to working in a private office in family medicine, not too far from here in Roxborough. And, worked there for 7.5 years. And then subsequently, just for, I think that, as we talk some more, for a variety of reasons, decided to change how I just delivered healthcare. And so that's how AccessiBull kind of came about, with a nod to the Bull City. So that's where the bull comes from. And here I am.
So you kind of spoke a little bit about your career journey, but why did you want to be a doctor? What motivated you to kind of get started in this industry?
Yeah, it feels very cliche to say it, but I've always wanted to be a doctor. And I think a lot of it stemmed from, growing up in the late 80s that in New York, there weren't a whole lot of professions where people were successful and financially stable and happy and helping people. And so I think it just came from that sort of place. What would just change a little bit over time was what I wanted to do in medicine. For a while, I wanted to be a pediatrician. And then in undergrad, I thought I wanted to be an ophthalmologist, like one of your previous guests, but ultimately settled on family medicine.
How would you say your work so far has made an impact on the local community? So on your patients or anyone really in the Durham community that you have interacted with so far?
So many things, particularly in the primary care sort of space. So chronic medical problems are impacted greatly by lifestyle factors and things that in a 15-minute office visit you really can't get into really deep conversation about. But we have the space to do that. And so I feel like I'm helping people live healthier lives and one patient at a time and have real meaningful relationships with their doctor in order to build on that and help them take care of themselves, take care of their families, have meaningful lives, meaningful relationships. Um, some people I think go into whatever their business is to try and change the world. Um, and I would like to think I'm definitely more narrow focused. I want to change, if it's 100 patients that I have, I think that that's still exceptionally meaningful. So the fact that you said like impacting my community, like that is really my goal. Like I would love to see a healthcare revolution. I don't know that I'll be the one knocking down doors in DC, but like I changing things here in Durham is definitely my goal.
Yeah, I think those relationships are so important with patients. I'm assuming most patients don't just want to be a number in a system of a very large corporation. So it's wonderful that with your private practice, you have that opportunity to make those, more than surface level connections with your patients. Our next question is, what's been the toughest challenge you've faced so far as a woman owning your own business?
The main challenges initially, like I said, really had to do with not feeling like business, entrepreneurship, or any of those sorts of factors were anything that I had any insight about. And so not only trying to open the business, but figuring out about marketing and finances and getting the accountant and like, oh, even working with Complex to get my logo and like just those kinds of things. Like, where do you even start? And then a lot of women find themselves in just balancing so many things and feeling like you have to balance everything. So, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I have my business, my husband has a business. And so I feel like I have about 8 hats almost all the time. finding balance and not losing sight of self-care and what's, you know, not being stretched too thin and so that I'm not being ineffective with everybody is probably the biggest challenge right now.
On the flip side of that, what do you think has been the most rewarding thing about this journey so far as a woman owning your own business, your own practice?
Just the moments leading up to opening. So once I signed my lease and as we were doing the upfit for the building, I was like, this is my space. Like, wow. And like walking through the space with my family and um, opening my doors to patients and just having complete autonomy and like all the decisions are mine, which is very heavy, but it's also liberating in a lot of ways. And so that, like, I think is what's beautiful about entrepreneurship, especially as a woman, as a woman of color, where a lot of times we feel, or not even feel, we often are um, limited in a lot of ways or held down in a lot of ways. And so just to be in charge and have the say, to go up to people and say, I own my business, is just, it's empowering. So I think that's the biggest, you know, the most amazing thing about it, just how empowering it is.
I can't imagine. I do not own my own business, so I can't say that. But just to be able to say that and, the weight behind it, I'm sure it's just amazing.
Yeah, like when people ask like, who do you work for? Like, oh, I work for myself. It's just something about being able to say that. It's like, oh, yeah, like, okay.
Who is one woman you look up to in your life or in your career or whatever it may be, and why?
You said one, but I'm saying two. Um, from the physician perspective, one of my attendings when I was a resident, Dr. Sarah Neal, um, I think sort of embodied the type of doctor I wanted to be. She was pretty much 100% herself, no matter which settings, no matter if it was around residents or other patients, around patients. So one of the people that like that is the type of doctor I hope that my patients perceive me as and that I am. One of just people, women who um, have influenced me most just as a person, as a woman, as a mother, was my mother. She was my biggest cheerleader, biggest supporter of every single endeavor, no matter whether it was studying abroad or applying to residency programs. And she poured 100% of herself into me and into everything she did. And so just that sort of example um, just instilled in me and just resonates with me in everything that I do.
Yeah, we've had, I think, one or two other of our client interviews say their mom for this question. So I think it just speaks to the gravity and the power and the influence that your mom can have on your life. So totally agree. Our last question today is, what advice do you have for other women looking to start their own business or just other women entrepreneurs out there?
So as a newbie entrepreneur, I'm not even sure I feel like I'm in a position to give advice. Um, I think the big one of the things that I'm continuing um, to learn about myself, and I think drives every entrepreneur that I know, is figuring out your passion and what really what calls to you, what speaks to you, what you feel strongly about, and what kind of is your gift to the world. Um, and don't lose sight of that in the midst of all of the things that come with being a business owner. The part of starting a business and writing a business plan is like what problem are you trying to solve, right? So um, trying to not to lose sight of that and having to deal with all the other things and remember that we are important. Our work is important no matter what it is.
Alrighty, that wraps us up for today. Thank you so much, Taineisha, for being here today.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries at all. And if y'all want to learn more about accessible healthcare, they are on their website is accessiblehealthcare.com and they are available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn if you want to follow them and learn more about them. Thanks, everyone, and thank you all so much for watching this series. Bye-bye.